shot. Bob it loud, another round of shot. Bob it loud, another round of shot. Bob it loud, another round of shot. Shot, 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 shot. Turn down for what? Turn down for what? Turn down for what? Turn down for what?
Playing of our national anthem. Now let's meet the starters. First for the visitors from Cornell. At forward, a 6'9 sophomore from Atlanta, Georgia, number 0, David Honora. At guard, a 6'2 sophomore from Houston, Texas, number 5, Robert Hatter. At guard, a 6'3 senior from Meridian, Mississippi, number 13, Devin Cherry. At guard, a 6'2 senior from Albany, New York, number 23, Jalal Cancer. And at forward, a 6'7 senior from Euclid, Ohio, number 32, Sean Miller. The Big Red is coached by Bill Courtney.
We start off 2015 with an Empire State Showdown. The State University of New York at Buffalo welcomes in their neighbors from 2 hours to the southeast, the Cornell Big Red. Hi everybody, my name is Paul Peck with Kevin Sylvester. Kevin, both of their teams wrapping up non-conference play. Good chance for both head coaches to get it all working in the right direction.
Yeah, for Cornell, they want to find out what the rotation is going to be. That 9-10 players will probably play about 12 today. And for Buffalo, they want to stay consistent and playing well offensively. So Bobby Hurley wants to keep things kind of as they are.
There's the starting lineup for the Bulls. Shannon Evans coming off the first triple-double in school history. Justin Moss leads the MAC in scoring and rebounding. Road Rodell Wigginton in the lineup for the injured Jaron Skeet. But one guy's name who was not on your screen, a key player today, Xavier Ford, off the bench.
He has been a super sub for the Bulls as he is averaging 12 points a game in 4 consecutive games off of the bench. They don't run plays for him because they don't have to. Look at him on the offensive glass. That's his offensive game, and he does it very well, and a great weapon for Bobby Hurley to have as a number 4 coming off the bench.
Pleasure for us to see one of the most athletic players in the Ivy League today. Cornell's Sean Miller all over the stat sheet. He is number 3 in the Ivy in scoring, number 1 in rebounds, number 3 in free throws, number 4 in block shots.
Yeah, very athletic. He's had 5 times over 20 points, sometimes over 25 points. He can score in bunches, and he's not your typical Ivy League player, but neither are the Big Red. They're not your typical Ivy League team.
Well, along with Miller, the Big Red are going to need some outside shooting from Robert Hatter, and they're going to need good point guard play from Devin Cherry. Turnovers have been a problem for Bill Courtney's team all season long. And that is something that the head coach told us before the game, Kevin. His team, most of those turnovers, they're amongst the worst team in the country at that, are unforced errors. He said, we've got to stop doing crazy things like bouncing the ball off our foot.
Well, and you do those things because they struggle shooting the ball from the outside, so they have to penetrate to get their points, whether it be getting to the free throw line or getting those shots inside the lane. So it's a different style play that Bill Courtney is installing for the Cornell Big Red. And, of course, for Bobby Hurley today here, Paul, he wants his team to play as they've been playing. Now, even though they lost at Wisconsin, they led at the half there. It's a different feel, he said, than the halftime lead at Kentucky. And this is their final warm-up, if you can call it a warm-up, before they get to MAC play next week.
A little short-handed today for Bobby Hurley's team. His best outside shooter and three-point shooter, Jaron Skeet, out for a third straight game with an ankle injury. Rodell Wigginton in the starting lineup, but he's not feeling up to par. That flu bug that's going around the country, hitting the Bulls a little bit too, so they may not be very deep today. It's going to be Cornell that gets the first possession of this game from Alumni Arena in Buffalo, New York. Hope you're having a great Saturday afternoon. And that's Sean Miller, number 32, who had it briefly. And back to Devin Cherry, and here's Miller. Thought about the 3. And nice pass down low. Miller off the glass and good. Great pass from up top by Jalal Cancer, and a pretty basket for the Big Red.
Well, that's the speed of Miller. You saw he made that drop step and slid to the basket and got behind Will Regan.
Freshman point guard Lamonte Bearden will dish it off to Justin Moss. Can't hit the 15-footer, and the rebound to Miller. He's number 1 in the Ivy in rebounding, and you see why right there. Devin Cherry pulls it back out, works it around. There's Miller, and now back in the hands of Cancer. Three-pointer up by Cherry, good.
And that is a rare make from Cherry, shooting 25% from three-point range coming into the game, and a big make there for the Big Red.
Cherry was a shooting guard last year, moved to the point guard position this year, but still has some of those shooting skills. And it's an early 5-0 Cornell lead. Here's Shannon Evans coming off the first triple-double in school history in their win over Binghamton. Rodell Wigginton drains the 3.
And that's he's filling the role that Jaron Skeet fills as the three-point shooter on that team. Normally doesn't coming off the bench.
Loose ball on the court, stolen away by the Bulls. Wigginton loses it, still battling for it. Jump ball is the call.
Well, that's the pace that Cornell wants to play at. Even though they turn the ball over there, we see the loose ball here, and this is kind of the game that Cornell wants to play and get it ready for Ivy League play, because the teams in the Ivy League, they're not used to that style of play.
No, it's a little bit faster of a pace than you might normally expect to see from the Princetons and the so forth of the Ivy Leagues, who have been the outstanding programs in that league for many years. Buffalo gets the possession on the jump ball. We are early in the first half here at Alumni Arena in Buffalo, and there's a knockaway, and luckily for the Bulls, right into the arms of Wigginton, floats into the lane, off the glass, no good. And here comes Cherry quickly into the front court for the Big Red. Shake and bake move on Bearden to Miller to Hatter. And in the far corner, it's Cancer.
And they switch, Buffalo switch defensively. Palmy jump in there. They put Moss on Miller now and moved Regan on the big man.
Corner 3, Devin Cherry, second of the day.
Well, that's a shot that will let Cherry shoot all day long coming into this game.
Averages 9 a game, already up to 6. As Kevin mentioned, just a 25% three-point shooter on the season. He's hit 2 of 2 already.
Let's see if UB can get the ball in Moss's hands again so he can establish his post play.
Instead, they go down low for Will Regan, who draws the foul on the big guy, David Anora of the Cornell Big Red, his first foul.
And I'm not surprised to see Xavier Ford getting up to come into the game here. He will be coming in for Will Regan here, but Ford more athletic defensively for the Bulls. And he may be able to open some things up for Moss.
And has chipped in offensively, Kevin, averaging 11.2 points per game in his last 4, all off the bench. Xavier Ford, as you and I have talked about, is just an energy guy. He brings energy and life to the team off the bench, and really cool socks.
Well, and you know what? He has those, but he comes in for Lamonte Bearden, which really gives the Bulls a big lineup here. And obviously there's something that Bobby Hurley wants to explain to Bearden, the freshman. 2 free throws for Will Regan, makes it an 8-5 Cornell lead, and there's one of those turnovers, an unforced one again by the Big Red. On the season, they average 15 turnovers a game. They're almost a -4 in the turnover ratio. They're among the worst teams in the country, and turning it over 293 is their ranking in turnovers. But the way you combat that is you force turnovers, Paul. It's you play the pressure. You know, if Bill Courtney's going to play most of his bench today here and play 12 players, I think he brought 18, so he may not play them all, but he's going to play
25, 30, you know.
If you're going to play
anybody walking around the quad down there in Ithaca.
You're going to play 12. You're going to play high pressure. You know, use your fouls, force some turnovers to combat the ones you make.
What a pass by Shannon Evans to Rodell Wigginton.
Great vision there, and nice finish by Wigginton.
And a nice drive into the lane by Jalal Cancer, but he can't get it to fall.
On the finish by Wigginton, I think he was going up with 2 hands here, and he adjusted because the shot was being contested. Take a quick look at it. There's a great pass ball, and yeah, I think he adjusted that to go with a 1-hand jam to finish it.
Mid-air adjustments, you know, just common for guys like Rodell Wigginton, you and me, right?
Well, you and I, we just hope to get it in.
So the Bulls now within 1 point after a couple of flurries of Cornell threes, and that time Wigginton gets it knocked away and takes a hard hit. And the foul is going to go on Darryl Smith, who had checked into the game for the Big Red. First guard off the bench, Darryl Smith draws the foul.
Yeah, it was the second man coming in there, Sean Miller, trying to contest the shot. That hit Wigginton, but so far, Rodell Wigginton, if he's not feeling well, keep feeling that way for MAC play next week, because he's been a big part of the offense here.
Hits the first free throw to tie this game up at 8. But Wigginton has started to get more playing time. Junior college transfer, new to the program, starting to work his way into the rotation a little bit more. Has to because of the injury to Skeet.
Well, he is the 3 that is more of the small forward 3, where Skeet is more of the third guard. At least in my opinion, on this offense for the Bulls, where, you know, Wigginton, in a blocking foul there in the Bulls, but Wigginton can slash to the basket, he'll go in an offensive rebound, where Skeet's more of that perimeter guy, and you expect him to shoot the 3 more, where Wigginton slashing to the basket, the dunk finish, though he did make that nice 3 for his first basket.
Yeah, and again, he had only been 2 of 16 shooting threes coming into this game. Fouls on Shannon Evans. Here's Sean Miller with the 3, it's short. And the rebound to Evans. On the move come the Bulls. The sophomore Shannon Evans spins into the lane and draws the foul. Boy, he is lightning in a bottle, Shannon Evans, and what a performance that he had in the win over Binghamton earlier in the week. Shannon Evans with 14 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds, and as I mentioned, the first triple-double in UB school history, only the 6th in the entire NCAA so far this year.
And he went a while before sealing the deal in that game. You wondered whether it was going to get there or not, and he was able to accomplish it in the final few minutes.
The foul was on Sean Miller, always important when the best player for Cornell draws a foul. That's his first. 3-pointer is missed. Back come the Big Red. Here's Devin Cherry. Kicks it right side for Smith. Down low for Miller. Guarded by Xavier Ford. Miller, left-handed runner in the lane, no good. Good defense from Xavier Ford and a rebound for Justin Moss, who leads the Mid-American Conference at just under 10 a game.
Tell you what, though, that was a slick move by Miller. How quickly he got into the lane to get that shot. He just missed the execution on it.
Alley-oop attempt. Now, did that get tipped in by Moss?
No, Miller actually tipped that one defensively.
So Shannon Evans will get credit for the basket. Other end, bank three-pointer in by Robert Hatter.
He probably didn't call it, but he's a lefty. And I think that, just his first shot, threw the Bulls off there because it's a different kind of release.
It was Bearden who gets credit for that attempted alley-oop before, and there's Moss hitting the long jumper.
And that's a jump shot that Moss is going to have to bring to the Mid-American Conference schedule next week, because there's no more secrets now on Justin Moss, because he's got a power game down low. He's got to supplement that with that jumper.
Justin Moss, the Bulls' leading scorer with his first two of the game. Boy, the pace is really frantic here. And here's a steal by Bearden. Ahead of the field, Lamonte Bearden off the glass and draws the foul.
Well, great execution there. And we'll talk more about Cornell, how they can test everything when we come back, Paul.
And nice bucket drawing the foul after a key turnover by Lamonte Bearden. Well, we've got a lot of frantic pace going on here. Cornell, in their last game against Syracuse, only scored 12 points in the entire first half. It's a 15-11 Buffalo lead.
You know, Paul, everybody in college basketball, the fans love the alley-oop play. Defense, you don't like the alley-oops play here. Watch 32, Sean Miller defensively. And, yeah, that's actually off his fingertips on the defender.
Nice roll and rotation and everything on that one.
Yeah, the look on his face was priceless at the end of this here. And you know what? Cornell, and you can see the look of disgust by Miller. He knew it went off his fingers. But that play, and then the play we just saw before the break where it was a steal, the layup, Cornell will contest every single shot all game long. That's one of the things that Bill Courtney wants his team to do, play that frenetic defense and get your hand in the face of the shooter every single time. And that's actually one thing that Bobby Hurley was telling Lamonte Bearden when he took him out. But our keys today for Cornell, Paul. Miller time. Sean Miller has to have a big game for the Big Red. Right now he's 1 of 3. His bench has to give him big minutes, and he's got to make UB work for their points.
Yeah, especially with a little bit of a shortened UB lineup here today, too. You really want to make them work. Lamonte Bearden finishes off the three-point play. 5 points for the freshman from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it's up to a 5-point Buffalo lead. JoJo Fallis, number 25, best outside shooter off the bench, has checked in for Cornell. And a nice drive down the lane and a bucket for Robert Hatter.
Well, that's one of the things we're going to talk about later when we get the keys for Buffalo. We just saw there the penetration.
Shannon Evans short on the three, underneath rebound by Xavier Ford, and he draws the foul. here are your keys to the game for Bobby Hurley's Buffalo Bulls.
Well, I talked to him yesterday. He was really concerned about being consistent on offense. He really liked the rotation that he had going and what they're doing. Defend that dribble penetration. Well, you just saw it the last time down the floor. Robert Hatter just went right in for the layup, and he wants to limit his own turnovers because they've done a nice job of that their last 2 times out against Binghamton and against Wisconsin. He felt they did a very good job protecting the basketball.
Xavier Ford, just a 55% free throw shooter, misses the first. The foul was on Dion Giddens, 6'9" senior, who checked in as part of a long and deep bench for the Cornell Big Red. Ford misses both, and the possession will go to Cornell. So new players on the court for the Big Red, but number 32, Sean Miller, who has just 2 points right now, still in the ball game and will be a key to the offense. Miller, number 3 in the Ivy League in scoring, number 1 in rebounds, number 3 in free throws, number 4 in block shots. He is all over the stat sheet for the Big Red, one of the most athletic and flat-out best players in the Ivy League.
Well, the interesting thing is, he's gone over 20 points the last 4 contests for the Big Red, but they've had other players lead him in scoring earlier this season.
And there's Miller right down the lane. Can't get the scoop shot to fall, and back come the Bulls. That's Moss on the elbow, drives the lane, has it knocked away by Miller. And possession will go to the Big Red.
That's a good no call. That's one of those, this is good defense right here in Moss, and he hasn't gotten the ball with his back to the basket yet. It's all been facing the basket.
And he gets a seat facing the court right now. A little coaching going on from Bobby Hurley to his leading scorer, Justin Moss. And now Jalal Cancer running the point for the Big Red with Cherry on the bench. Here's Fallis. He'll like to shoot that 3. Instead, dumps it down low for Cancer. Into the lane. Pumps and scoops and puts it up and gets it blocked. And Regan with a rebound to Bearden. On the move come the Bulls. Bearden one-on-one runs right through Fallis. Misses the layup. And Fallis gets it back and runs right back the other way with the Big Red.
It's interesting. We just saw in both possessions there, and travel on that one, but both possessions we saw penetration, but just a little too out of control to hang on to the basketball. UB is very good at reaching in and knocking the ball away. We saw that when they played Niagara a few weeks ago, and Cornell's doing a pretty good job of it also here against UB.
Full court pressure from JoJo Fallis on Lamonte Bearden. Actually, that's Shannon Evans. 11, not 1. Here's Lamonte Bearden. Back to Evans. Evans looking for the baseline and backs it out off a pick from Will Regan.
Well, with Moss out, they have Johnson down there with his back to the basket, but he doesn't have the offensive game that Moss does. Evans
goes up, has it knocked away, stolen away by the Big Red, 2-on-1, driving the lane, but the follow is put up and in. Will Bathurst, the Western New York native, with the bucket off the nice steal by Robert Hatter. And watch it here, Will Bathurst from Olean, New York, about an hour and a half away from here. Western New York Player of the Year, true freshman. Right place, right time.
Well, and look how many red jerseys were down there also of filling the lane. That's what you can do when you're playing 12. You could run the floor. And a nice foul through there now with what UB has right now on the bench in Wigginton and Moss. The offense has to come from the guards and maybe penetrate and find Will Regan involved in the offense. But other than that, there isn't much on the floor right now, and that's where Jaron Skeet's absence. Maybe now, if it were league play or end of the season, he might have played today. It's one of those things you could put a little extra tape on it with the ankle, but nothing to risk here before you get into league play.
You saw Devin Cherry check back in the game. He's got the ball right now. The foul on the last time down court was on Fallis, and Bearden hit both free throws. Here's JoJo Fallis. He was their leading scorer in the loss to Syracuse last weekend, or earlier this week. Nice drive in the lane, a little out of control though by Devin Cherry. Took a nasty shot in the back of the head and grimacing as he heads down court. Now a little bit of the problem that Bill Courtney told us. Devin Cherry is athletic and fearless, but sometimes a little out of control.
Well, great evidence right there. That's exactly what he described it, out of control on that one. But having played that too, he's used to scoring baskets and taking the bucket instead of finding his teammates.
There's number 20, Will Bathurst, Western New York High School Player of the Year, back close to his hometown, has Cornell hanging down by 3. What could be better? Hanging out on a Saturday afternoon with Dad, eating from a big bag of pretzels, watching the Bulls play basketball here in Alumni Arena in Western New York.
And Dad got the hard pretzels. The kids got the soft pretzels. They got the A game.
You got to
there.
go with the soft ones. If you can get a good soft, you can't beat a good soft pretzel.
Well,
I'm with you, kids.
You know it's the salt on the pretzel? Evans is the salt on the pretzel. He's the topping on it right there. That triple-double. Hard to believe the first in school history, but only the sixth in NCAA basketball, Division I this year.
And the rebounds are the number that jumps out at you, especially when it's a guard like Shannon Evans at 6'1". You know, he's an assist guy, and he's been a good, consistent scorer, but when you go into the land of the Giants to pull 10 assists down, or 10 rebounds down, that's what really shines for you on a triple-double.
Well, you know, he has this great ability to penetrate offensively, but, you know, on both ends, when it comes to rebounds, so quick off the floor. And I think he surprises some of the big men down there just expecting an easy rebound.
Here's Will Regan backing into the lane. Little hook shot's no good. Rebound to Cherry of the Cornell Big Red. Devin Cherry behind the back dribble, trying to put a move on Bearden. He'll work it around now. Sean Miller not in the game right now for Cornell. Instead, they get it to Fallis in the corner. Three-pointer is long and up and over the backboard.
Yeah, you mentioned Cherry, and you're not a true point guard, and some of the struggles he's had turning the basketball over, and you can see why. There's too much between the legs behind the back stuff when it's not necessary. Bill
Courtney calls him a dynamic athlete who plays fast, but sometimes you don't want that in your point guard. You want a little tempo and a little slow it down, and that's been a big reason why we mentioned Cornell has struggled with turnovers all year long. Xavier Ford's corner jumper no good. Good battle for the rebound by Will Regan, and he corrals it and resets the possession for the Bulls. Here's Ford, going to drive the lane, and he's going to draw the foul. It's going to get called on Cherry, his first. Well, 8th foul of the half already on Cornell.
I was waiting to see which way that one was going to go here. Watch Will Regan on the offensive glass here. It's a long rebound, staying with it. Look at that, staying able to get back to his feet and get the loose basketball.
Good hustle by Will Regan, the senior from right here in Buffalo, New York, the Nichols School. We've got two former Western New York High School Players of the Year in this game. We mentioned Bathurst, and Nichols a two-time winner of that honor back in his high school days.
Well, and he's a great example of persistence, be able to handle adversity. You know, he was the star at Nichols and went to Virginia, didn't work out there, came here to Buffalo, and he's playing a different role for the Bulls here.
He was much more of a star last year. This team relied on him to score much more, and it's with the emergence of Justin Moss and Shannon Evans why Will Regan's only averaging 7 points a game, but doing everything he needs to elsewhere. 2 free throws by Xavier Ford.
But all good teams, Paul, need a player who's willing to die for the basketball, take the foul, stand in there, take the charges, and box out so your teammate can grab a rebound.
Missed 3 by Cherry, rebound to Moss, who is back in the ball game. And here's Bearden sliding off to the right. Exchanging with Wigginton, now that's Moss. Will he drive, will he shoot? He will drive and misses the reverse slam. Little too much underneath the basket that time for Justin Moss. Instead, Cornell back the other way. Fallis, 3, got it.
Boy, that is a killer sequence there. Your number one scorer is going in for a jam to bring down the house. Can't convert it, and you give up a 3 on the other end.
Leading three-point shooter for the Cornell Big Red, JoJo Fallis, has made this a 2-point game and a turnover by the Bulls. And here's Fallis looking for the bounce pass, trying to get it to Cancer. Can't do it, and back comes Buffalo.
And now Bobby Hurley's calling for a set play here, I think. I think if he had Skeet healthy.
All right, a nice idea trying to get it to Moss. Instead, it bounces to Ford. Flat on the three-pointer, and back comes Cornell.
Well, I was going to mention, I think he'd be pulling Moss out of the game, and he still may.
And again, there's Cherry a little bit out of control, driving the lane, but drawing the foul on Justin Moss.
Well, we'll see if he's set on this one. And, boy, that's close. Very close. That could go either way on that one. You saw him, he just turned and got set, but very close.
Just the first foul, just the second team foul on UB here in this half. So Devin Cherry to the line, a 65% free throw shooter. He's got 7 in the game already. Hit a pair of threes in the first couple of minutes.
But in fairness, on the other end, I thought Ford lowered his shoulder into Cherry when he drove, even though Cherry wasn't set, so they even up.
They always do, don't they? Our 3 officials, Greg Webb, Bill Elk, Jim Shipper, calling it even both ways. 2 free throws for Devin Cherry gives him 8, nearly to his season average. He is the leading scorer right now for the Cornell Big Red. Sean Miller, normally the leading scorer, just 2 points so far.
It's reminded me of the Drexel game that UB played where they held Damian Lee in check in the first half.
Wigginton, top of the key 3, bounces out. Miller with a rebound.
But Lee went off in the second half. You know at some point Miller's going to get his points.
Spin move by Cherry, gets the lane and turns it over. There you go. There's a perfect example of what we've talked about and a little bit of that man's frustration with Devin Cherry, the senior from Meridian, Mississippi. Athletic, great. Look at it. He's telling him right there, don't do that. Be careful with the ball.
You know what Cherry's thinking? I just made this incredible move.
He did.
Right.
But it got him nothing except the turnover. Here's Will Regan, 3, short. And a whistle before we get the collision on the rebound.
I'm going to say it hit the top of the backboard,
Yep.
I believe, off of that. Things just
6
off. Sorry, Paul.
6 turnovers already in the first half for Cornell.
Yeah, things just off. I mean, this is a shot that Will Regan shoots. He's the first guy out here on the floor for UB every day. And
traveling called on Miller. Miller is not quite in the rhythm yet at this point.
But he is, boy, he's an interesting player. You look at him, and there are schools that are interested in him for a 5th year. He sat out last year. So when he graduates from Cornell at the end of this year, he could go on somewhere else. He's got that kind of game.
6'7", 210-pounder from Euclid, Ohio, and St. Ignatius High School, and we've got travels on both ends. Sean Miller not all that far from home here, 2.5 hours or so away from outside of Cleveland, and of course St. Ignatius, one of the more famous and notable private high schools in the country, turned out a lot of terrific football players. Sean Miller adding himself to that list of outstanding alums on the basketball side.
You know, right now Bill Courtney has to really feel comfortable where his team is at right now, because they have UB uncomfortable and out of rhythm offensively.
Playing catch, the big guy Anura kicks it back to Miller, to Cherry, got another 3. Devin Cherry with 11 points and 3 3-pointers. He's feeling it. You can see it on his face.
No, he averages 9 a game, but again, one of those players too that can light it up. And to have 3 3-pointers made, coming in shooting 25%. That's a gamble I would have taken too, to let him shoot that all afternoon.
Bulls working it around into the corner for Regan. Bearden dumping it to the elbow to Moss. Nice bounce pass for Regan, who got mugged from behind, but a nice block by Anura of Cornell. And back come the Big Red. And now what a follow by the big guy. David Anura with the slam. Doing it on both ends of the court. The sophomore from Atlanta, Georgia. David Anura with a couple of fancy highlights. Watch the dunk, and the block on the other end was just as big.
All right, that is the second sequence we've had where Buffalo appears to be going in for a dunk or an easy basket on their offensive end, and they either miss or it gets blocked, and they come down, and you saw 3 Bulls go in there, but we saw it earlier when Bathurst scored on the foul through. Cornell sends numbers to the hoop, and what it's transpired here for Cornell to take a 5-point lead. What looked like an easy bucket miss comes down, the rebound dunk on the follow through, and Cornell is feeling good right now with that 5-point lead.
Anura at 6'9" and 230, physical and athletic, just having his game fall in place for him in the last couple of minutes. And the Bulls aren't shooting very well. Most teams don't shoot very well against Cornell, and Bulls are not doing that so far here today.
Well, you can see why. They mix up zone, they mix up man-to-man.
Knocked away, regained by Hatter, into the corner. Cherry's feeling it. How about a Cherry on top with another 3-pointer? 14 in the first half for Devin Cherry.
Well, that may open things up for Miller, because now you have to pay attention to him. He's hit 4 of them.
Here's Moss, wants that again, and this time he gets it.
I was thinking as he took off, is he going to try the same move? And he converted that time.
How about that for a man's man basket for Justin Moss?
And let's see if that gets him going, because he's been sloppy. I think that's being kind.
Sean Miller long on the three. Wow, this has been frantic on both ends. Big dunks, big plays on defense, but look at this by the Max leading scorer. Well, it would be fitting that a guy named Cherry, who plays for the Big Red, would be the early star of the game today, but the senior Devin Cherry, who has a career high of 29 points, so you can know he can fill it up. Even though he's averaging only 9 a game, he is hot today with 14.
Well, and you look what he's doing. These are, now Miller here, the pump fake, and feeds Cherry there, who's spotting up more like the traditional two-guard would do, which is his more natural position here. Step back three in the corner. It has plenty of time, open lane to shoot. He scored 21 against Colgate this year. I mentioned they had different players who have led them in scoring at different points this season. It hasn't all been Sean Miller. Interesting that one drive Miller had Cherry not been making his three-pointers. I don't know if he passes to him because he's that kind of scorer, but this is all going to open things up for Miller in the second half.
Yeah, and one of the other tidbits of note is the Cornell Big Red lead the Ivy League, and they're in the top 40 in the country in field goal percentage defense. And right now, UB shooting just 6 of 19 for 32%. Normally, they're a 42% field goal shooting team. So Cornell's defense right now is getting UB off of its game. And the Big Red with a 6-point lead and a chance to add to it. Slow the pace down just a little here with Jalal Cancer moving from right to left, and back to Cancer, top of the key. Here's Cherry, guarded by Bearden off the pick from Giddens. Cherry wanted to dump it back down to Gibbons. Instead, Hatter has it stripped away and stolen. Head of the field, Lamonte Bearden, layup good.
Shows the speed of Bearden. It's about the third time he's had a breakaway layup chance.
Lamonte Bearden had been struggling, just 6 of his last 32 field goals coming into this game. How about that nifty play with a long reach from Dion Gibbons?
Yeah, that was a lot harder than it looked, folks. He brought it from his left hand in the wingspan all the way over to the right, all while moving to the basket for the layup. But that's that high pick and roll they ran with Cherry. It's a different look. They haven't shown it upside of the three-point arc.
Justin Moss, turnaround long, no good. Rebound to Hatter. Quickly into the front court comes Robert Hatter. Cherry, he's got the hot hand. Jalal Cancer guarded by Wigginton.
And UB staying with that man-to-man, and they're trying to run that high pick and roll off of it.
Nice pass down low in the bucket for Sean Miller with a chance to add to the three-point play.
And this is a different look, so they run the high pick and roll, but it brings in other opportunities outside that three-pointer, the penetration. One of the things we talked about, Bobby Hurley wanted to stop the dribble penetration. There's dribble penetration and the easy bucket for Miller.
Second foul of the game on Justin Moss. Sean Miller, an 85% free throw shooter, drains it. 5 in the game for Miller. Xavier Ford going to check back in for Buffalo. Bulls are a little out of sorts here. Haven't had a lot of consistent offense. We mentioned they haven't shot the ball well. Moss is not necessarily having the game that we're used to seeing from him, and Shannon Evans has no points so far.
Yeah, Moss with only 4 points, and you know I mentioned the word sloppy because he just seemed out of sync, and but that'll help.
That'll help. That's where Shannon Evans can chip in on the beautiful feed to Rodell Wigginton.
But and the reason I say that because I think Moss is trying to force some things because he hasn't had the back-to-the-basket game or any of those opportunities yet today. It's all been facing or trying to drive and dunk.
Robert Hatter misses. Xavier Ford with a rebound. Boy, this one's been fun to watch. These two teams are really going at it. And into the lane goes Shannon Evans, and a hard hit by Robert Hatter.
I think Evans was looking to pass first on this play, and well, here's the Wigginton dunk again. Second time we've seen him slash to the basket. Nice feed by Evans. That last one, I thought Evans was looking to pass to Ford, who was the high pick and roll and following through, but he recognized it wasn't there and drew the foul.
So Shannon Evans goes to the line looking for his first points of the game. He is the Bulls' second leading scorer at 14.5 and drills the free throw. An 82% free throw shooter is Shannon Evans. He already has 4 assists in the game, which is slightly under his per-game average.
Well, he's somebody that I would look to try to take over this game offensively for UB the rest of this first half and into the second half also. He's a catalyst.
A little over 4 minutes to go in a fun first half. It's tight. It's a 5-point Big Red lead.
Look how the Big Red have extended their offense to open up the back door where they have Miller down there.
Fallis, 25 in the ball game for some outside shooting. Cherry drives in the lane, kicks it back. Jalal Cancer, 3-point attempt by Fallis, no good. What a follow by Sean Miller.
Basket by Sean Miller.
How many dunks have we already had in this first half? About 6 already.
But I mentioned Cornell's not your typical Ivy League school. You expect those from UB, not from the Big Red.
Evans, 3, drops.
Evans is sensing it. He's sensing he's got to be the offense for UB, especially with Moss out of the game.
Cherry out of control and a turnover. Watch Sean Miller working it underneath here, and boy, with his size and his athleticism, that's what you get from the Ivy League's leading scorer. Well, here at the University of Buffalo, scientists are developing a potential drug for Duchenne muscular dystrophy, which is a fatal childhood disease. And yeah, that's the key. The treatment extremely unique. It's a protein that researchers originally found in tarantula venom, and it could slow the damaging muscle deterioration found in patients with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Who's the guy whose hand that is? You'll get him in here for our halftime interview.
Well, right now, UB basketball is trying to find the antidote to the venom that is the pace Cornell is playing here in this first half. And Cornell's doing a great job attacking the basket. You saw that Miller dunk, but nobody boxed him out on the play.
This series goes back a long way, back to 1918, 1919 season, but Cornell, while they lead it, it's UB most recently winning 4 of the last 6, and the last time these two teams played was a 68-59 UB win back in 2011. As we mentioned, just about two and a half hours away are these two schools. Regan's 3 is blocked by Sean Miller, and back come the Big Red.
His last 2 attempts have been blocked, that dunk attempt and that three-pointer.
Cherry kicks it for Fallis, long on the 3, Regan with the rebound. It's a 4-point Cornell lead with 2:45 to go in the first half. Bearden into the lane, loses it, but it goes right to Moss for the easy layup.
That was not an assist. That was not an assist. That was a shot attempt by Bearden and an undisciplined one. But Johnny on the spot, Moss, and maybe that will get him going.
Here's Fallis, and he wanted to kick it to Sean Miller, and Miller didn't cut. And Fallis says, "That's on me, my bad."
Yeah,
and
that was.
Sorry, Kevin. That's the 10th turnover now of the first half for Cornell. Again, something that has been a problem for them. They average 15 a game, and that ranked them among the worst in the country.
Well, that I'm surprised Miller didn't cut to the basket. That's what Fallis was expecting him to do on that play, and it was open.
Shannon Evans off a screen from 4, drills it. 3-pointer for Shannon Evans.
Well, Evans is sensing it. As I mentioned, he's sent. You can feel it. You can see it that he knew he had to take this game over for UB.
All 8 points for Shannon Evans in the last 4 or 5 minutes of action. Miller into the lane. Beautiful spin move. He's got 9.
Well, just the speed in which he's able to spin and get into the lane and the elevation. I know he's 6'7", but you saw how much higher he got over for to get that shot off.
Evans, will he try it again? He'll dump it off to Wigginton. Wigginton 3 on the way. Rims out. Loose ball. Cornell with the save. And another save, and it's a Big Red basketball. And back comes Devin Cherry.
Nice discipline by Moss that time, not fighting for the rebound. He's out of position with 2 fouls. He can't afford to get the 3rd one here in the first half.
Miller way outside, hands it off to Cherry. Slow dribble with the right hand for Devin Cherry. Miller eyeing up Xavier Ford, pulls up, shoots, and cannot get it to fall. Rebound for Moss, rather. 3rd rebound of the game for the Mac's leading board man. In the lane, Bearden floater, got it.
That's a shot.
11 in the game for Lamonte Bearden, breaking out of his slump that saw him shoot just 1 of 8 and 4 points in their last game. Here's Cherry off the glass and good for 16 now.
Now UB's going to take the timeout. I think Bobby Hurley wants to hold this to get 1 shot here with this 2.6 second differential here. Shannon Evans has been taking the game over offensively for the Bulls. You saw Bearden last time go down. Those two play until they can get Moss established down low, because they really haven't been able to. The baskets that he scored, he had that 1 nice jump shot. The other one, the dunk, the second time he tried the play, and then the look what I found rebound. They've got to find a way to get him established, but it may not be the time to do it, Paul. You do not want him to pick up that 3rd foul here before the first half expires.
Well, when I mentioned to you with 6:15 remaining, UB was shooting just 31.6%. Well, they have been on fire lately because now they're up to 42.9% field goal shooting from that point on, which is only literally 6 minutes. So things have changed a little bit. The Bulls are getting easier baskets, hitting a couple of threes, and Moss has got a couple of easy putbacks. That's changing the dynamic of this game, and I think that's where Cornell wants to make sure they get back to playing the kind of field goal percentage defense that has been their trademark this year. So let's see if it's going to be sort of the last shot. Let's see what Shannon Evans can do. 22 left on the game clock, 18 on the shot clock. Serious defense coming from Darryl Smith on Shannon Evans. Evans 12 on the shot clock, or 8 on the shot clock rather. Evans cuts between 2 and dumps it off, and it will stay with the Bulls. 6 seconds to go, 4 on the shot clock.
Well, they had the high double on Giddens, who came out, and Evans quickly got through there. But unlike Bearden, Evans will go all the way to the basket. Bearden will throw that floater teardrop in the lane.
Quick inbound, Evans, fall away 3, got it! And how about that way to end the half? And you can see high fives with the fans on Shannon Evans' way out to the halftime locker room. 11 points all coming in the last 5 minutes for Shannon Evans. Well, the Buffalo Bulls scoring 19 of the last 30 points in the final 6 minutes of the first half to allow them to go from down 6 to up by 2 now, and they got a lot of easy baskets. They took advantage of some turnovers, Kevin, and it's a 2-point lead, and a big reason for that lead is Shannon Evans coming off that triple-double. Took him a little while to wake up, but once he got started, man, he was tough to stop.
Well, I think it was one of those things where Shannon Evans recognized, okay, Justin Moss is not in the game. He's sitting out with 2 fouls, as Bobby Hurley liked to sit him. What was he going to do? So he decided to get himself open. He took control, shooting a couple 3-pointers off his own dribble, and he, of course, was the man they went to the 3 at the end of the half, which is something they'll frequently do, will the Bulls.
And he did not have any points in the game at that 6:14 timeout, so all 11 points coming in the last 6 minutes, and Devin Cherry averaging 9 a game, 16 points. Look at the field goal shooting. Still some of the issues with the turnovers. He's been a part of the reason why Cornell has 10 of them in the first half.
Well, and a big reason why he's having an excellent game is shooting from the 3-point arc. 4 of 4. He came in, he's 11 of 44 in the season for 25%. Unexpected accuracy from the 3-point arc.
And we'll see if it continues, and we'll see if the Big Red can get Sean Miller going a little bit. Let's see. He's got it in his hands right now. Drives the lane. How's that for getting going? Not that he had a bad first half, only 9 points, but that's now 11 in the game for Sean Miller.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. Miller had 9, Moss had 6. It's not like they did nothing in the first half, but that's why I expect both of them to have big second halves here to lead their teams.
Give and go. Evans to Moss, draws the foul. It's going to be called on the big guy, Anora.
And who gets the ball at each end? Their forwards. Who are their scorers? Miller takes it to the basket, and Moss also gets it on the pick and roll. Different ways of getting the basketball and trying to get their points, but it's what they have to do to establish those players.
All that high-tech analysis and video, and all you needed to do was say, hey, you know what, let's run our first 2 plays for our 2 best players.
One man.
Well, both coaches know if they're going to win success the way this game has gone, you're going to have to rely on your star players in this one.
Justin Moss hits 2 free throws. He's got 8 in the game. And here's Devin Cherry with the hot hand, kicks it to Miller. Cancer, cross-court pass, Cherry, 3 short. And a rebound on the backside to Wigginton. Shannon Evans left the first half high-fiving with the fans on the way to the locker room. This time, see what he does here in the second half. Kicks it out for Bearden. Bearden shake and bake move into the lane. Runner with a right hand, no good. Tapped out and out of bounds to Cornell.
Yeah, the three-point shot is not Bearden's shot, and so they left it. It's one of those, okay, go ahead and take it. And he's better in the lane coming from the point position, not from the wings. And I think he was looking to pass, but he ended up having to take a shot because it was there. But because he came from the wing, Paul, it was an uncomfortable position for Lamonte Bearden.
Good ball movement here by the Big Red. It winds up in the hands of the big guy, Sean Miller. He'll pull up, three-pointer. Long, no good. Tapped out, rebounded to Shannon Evans.
That was intentional, too, that tap rebound.
Evans in the lane, floater, no good. Tried to hang and hit, couldn't quite get the roll up and over the top of the rim, but Shannon Evans draws the foul.
Well, and you watch here, Evans sees the lane, he goes, puts up the shot attempt because Cornell has done an excellent job of scouting UB here, and they have taken away the penetration pass, something that Evans is excellent at.
So Shannon Evans to the line, no good on the first.
But one of the things that Shannon Evans can improve upon is his finish. Now, that one was a falling away, very difficult shot, but he's someone who can penetrate, get to the rim, he's got to finish, and he's got to make his free throws.
And he makes the second. That's 12 points in the game for Shannon Evans to go along with 4 assists, and he's also chipped in with a bunch of rebounds as well, too. How about 2 of them? Cherry pulls up and drains it. 18 for Devin Cherry. Boy, he's feeling it. You can just see it on his face.
Well, in earlier games this year, Cantor scored 19 and 18 a couple times, including 18 against Canisius. Hatter has had 21 in a game earlier this year, and Cherry also 21.
Honora going to foul Justin Moss. 3rd foul of the game on the big guy, David Honora. Sophomore from Atlanta, Georgia is David Honora.
I like his defensive game, though. He's done a nice job on that pick and roll.
Will Regan into the lane, off the glass and good, and count it for the foul.
That'll be the 4th. Honora. Well, we know Wilt Regan's got a hook shot here, and he brings a little bit of it there on the finish, cutting to the lane.
Not something we've seen a lot from Will Regan this year, driving from that spot of the court. But again, this is a guy who had a 36-point game in the 2013 MAC tournament. Will Regan knows how to fill it up, even though it's not quite been his role so far this season, and he misses on the free throw.
Well, he's had to adjust to being the 3rd and more likely 4th option on the offense this year. But he's handled it extremely well.
Turnover by Devin Cherry as he dribbled it off his foot.
He's doing the other things, Paul, to stay on the floor and get his minutes. And not every player accepts that role, and they end up going to a bench role, and their minutes are reduced. It's a really nice combination that Bobby Hurley has at that 4 spot between Regan and Ford.
Cross-court pass for Bearden. Kicks it out for Regan. 3, good. 7 in the game for Will Regan, his first 3 of the afternoon.
Wanted to foul on that as Miller came out to contest it.
Shannon Evans tiptoes around the screen attempt by Giddens. Here's Jalal Cancer into the lane, kicks it back out. Hatter loses it. Turnover. Cornell, their 12th of the game.
And that's one of those unforced ones. That was right at our eye level here. And, well, let's look at Regan's 3 here first there. And nice finish. And you saw he wanted the extra on there. But at the other end, Hatter, it was just, he didn't know if he's going to pass or keep it. It's his decision making.
So the Bulls starting to pull away from a 2-point margin at the half. They've outscored Cornell 8-2 to begin the half here. Cross court, Wigginton, 3, got it.
This is a wise timeout by Bill Courtney.
Yeah, this one, the Bulls are really taking control now. Or at least right out of the bat here. End of the first half, beginning of the second half. It's been all Buffalo, and they have upped that lead. They were down 6 at one point late in the first half. They are up by 9. Good crowd of both young and old here at Alumni Arena on a Saturday afternoon, and the Bulls fans got to like what they are seeing. The Bulls on a nice little run here have opened up a 9-point lead, a perfect way, Kevin, to get ready for Mid-American Conference play.
And normally you look at that and like, whoa, 2 on the road to start MAC play. However, the road's a familiar place for the Bulls. This is just their 4th home game of the regular season. If you want to include an exhibition game in there, it would be their 5th, but they have been road warriors so far this year, playing in some big places, at Kentucky, at Wisconsin, so those games won't phase it.
All right, here's how this game has changed. With 4:49 left to go in the first half, Cornell had a 9-point lead. Right now, 16:38 to go in the second half. Buffalo has a 9-point lead. That's a 28-10 run by the Bulls in roughly the last 8 minutes.
And they've done it with the 3-point arc, Paul.
And there's a foul on Shannon Evans trying to grab that steal.
Well, and thanks to that, gentlemen, and then Wigginton making that 3-pointer. I expect Cornell to go to Miller here. It is Miller time, as we mentioned, keys to the game here, and you're down. You need to get it to your best player.
Cherry to Miller. JoJo Fallis, the 3-point shooter in the ballgame now. He's got it. So does Miller. Working it around the perimeter. Good defense, man-to-man by the Bulls. Down the lane goes Jalal Cancer, and he gets the layup. First 2 of the game for the senior from Albany, New York.
Well, that's a senior recognizing, okay, nothing's really happening here. I'm going to go try to make something happen with my dribble penetration. I expected Miller to try to dribble penetrate and pull up with a jumper at the foul line there.
Here's Moss, big shoulder into the gut of Sean Miller, but the basket won't go. Back come the Big Red, and what a slam by Sean Miller. Defense on one end, slam dunk on the other.
Well, you can see why after not even playing last year. He was preseason All-Ivy League. Hurt his wrist on the dunk, though. He's just grabbing it there.
13 in the game for Sean Miller, getting close to his season average. Here's Moss. He loves that reverse layup, and why not? Justin Moss, the Bulls' leading scorer. Couple of highlight reel plays here this afternoon. That's one of them. Oh, those look like some extra Krispies coming from Santora's, a popular University of Buffalo fan hangout just down the street from the campus here in Amherst, and that looks like there might be a little bit of the hot version as well, too.
I never touched those. I had no idea.
I kind of stay away from the hot ones, too. So, and maybe that's where these guys are going to head after hopefully to celebrate a Buffalo victory as Bulls fans. Maybe they'll make the short trip for a little dinner, some chicken wings down the street here.
Well, I can't help myself. That last basket was really winging it for Justin Moss.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, I know.
What are we going to do with you, Sylvester?
Well, I learned from the best. That is you. With it. But really, we've seen Miller, 32 there, make a big basket at the other end after a nice defensive play. And then they come right back down. Moss didn't have his back to the basket that time, but faced it and just drove hard in. And who's getting in the way of that? I mean, that is a well put together 6'7" coming right into your kitchen, and he makes an acrobatic basket and to get to the line.
10 points for Justin Moss, one of 4 Bulls in double figures. As a moment ago, you saw the shot of Cherry and Miller. Those two guys have combined for 31 of the 47 Cornell points. Justin Moss now up to 11. He averages just under 17 a game. A little more three-quarter court pressure that time from the Bulls.
And that's their game. That's not anything unique they're doing against Cornell. They'll do that all season long.
Here's Cancer, thought about the 3. Instead, he'll back in on Beard. Nice little spin move. And a beautiful follow from behind by Sean Miller. Boy, he is one of the better dunkers in the country, at least what we've seen here today. He is so athletic around the basket. 15 for Sean Miller.
Well, tracking the basketball there on the move. Second time we've seen him do that off a rebound.
Bearden had a wide open side of the court, chose not to drive. Instead gives it off to Wigginton, one of those Bulls in double figures with 12. Here's Evans from the corner, way short, air ball on the 3. Well, easy rebound for Miller.
You mentioned why Bearden had that wide open look, but he comes into the game shooting 25% from the arc too, so not his shot as I mentioned earlier. Didn't stop Cherry, though, from the other side from shooting.
Doesn't stop everybody either, does it?
Making 4 out of 5 so far in the game.
Sean Miller guarded by Xavier Ford. Here's Cherry. It's been Miller and Cherry have been the 2 keys offensively, and this time Cherry going to draw the foul. Looks like you're going to get Bearden for reaching in.
One of the criticisms of Sean Miller is sometimes in the games he'll float. And even though these last 2 baskets have been dunks, offensively you can see where he's been floating around the 3-point arc. Hasn't really gotten into the lane to post up to get the basketball.
And here's Miller way outside. You saw Tomic get the ball briefly. He's checked into the game, number 35, his first action of the night. Miller one-on-one against Regan. Look at the long arm and the long reach, but he can't get it to go.
Now that was a time there where Miller decided to be aggressive with the basketball.
Shannon Evans gonna pull up, hit the long 3. I said hit before it went in, but the way he's going right now was a pretty good gamble on my part. 15 for Shannon Evans. Miller on the other end. Can't get the 3. Wigginton with the rebound. And he momentarily loses it, regains, gets it down low. Regan fakes the pass, kicks it back out for Evans.
Now, wise move there by Regan. He's got Miller on him, who's a pretty good shot blocker. We've seen his elevation level on some of those dunks.
Xavier Ford gets it to roll. A little forearm to create some room for Xavier Ford. He's got 5 in the game off the bench.
Well, Cornell's going to have to, because they got knocked away, they're going to need a basket here to keep this close. Keep it within 10 at the 10-minute mark if they can in this second half here, or this may get away from them rather quickly.
Moss checking out for Buffalo. Raheem Johnson, the big 6'10" shot blocker, number 31 in the ballgame right now. Trying to maybe tighten some of those opportunities down low. Fallis misses the 3, Johnson with the rebound. And the Cornell Big Red are going cold here a bit, particularly everybody but Sean Miller.
Well, and they were shooting 50%. It's down to 49% overall for the game.
Oh, man. It's Shannon Evans on fire.
Gotta love it. Gotta love great performances, and you're seeing one here this afternoon. And Shannon Evans coming off the school's first triple-double, and look at that. That is big league range.
18 points for Shannon Evans. He's hit 5 of 8 three-pointers, chipped in with 4 assists and a rebound. Another day of filling up the stat sheet for the sophomore from Suffolk, Virginia. And boy, he lets you know it too. One of the most expressive players on the Buffalo roster.
Well, when he was coming over in the timeout, right after he did that, which Bobby Hurley was out in the court too, and he kind of gave him a point like, yeah, he loved it too. And, you know, Bobby's a coach. The player's still in there with Bobby Hurley, in my opinion, and you love the energy that he's receiving from his players and that he gives to his players, especially a guy like Evans, how he can help him decide when to get those points and when to get your teammates involved.
And I think when you look at the Mid-American Conference statistics and you see that Shannon Evans is in the top 10 in scoring and number 2 in assists, that's an unusual combination. You just don't see a lot of players who are as good at distributing as they are scoring. And here's a steal. Lamonte Beard one-on-one with Miller, and that's what's going to happen. And now back come the Big Red. Here's Cancer. One-on-one, wide open lane in the layup.
And Cornell going to full court press here off the made basket. Trying to get it back to that uncomfortable pace. Even though Bulls can play a high-paced game, but Cornell had it very uncomfortable early on in this game, but that was before Shannon Evans decided to take over.
Here's Bearden, trapped momentarily. Pulls up, 15-footer, got it! And a foul! And he looks up from the ground and says, how'd that go in? I don't know, but it was pretty cool that it did. 13 for Lamonte Bearden. And a chance to add one more.
Well, when we come back, we'll look at that, Paul, and show you what he did on that play.
Victory Bulls, a happy guy. The Bulls by 14. Watch from behind the basket as Lamonte Bearden will do a little dribbling exhibition and then just pull up and pop and draw the foul. Look at that. There he is.
Well, he comes out of a double team ball there, and that time he was decisive in what he wanted to do and recognized the wing was open there on the retreat. And look at that. Beautiful crossover dribble. It allowed him to elevate in rhythm to shoot that jump shot, which is really not in his number one weapon in his game. It's the penetration. So if he can bring that to conference play, that's what Shannon Evans brings to conference play. Look out, Mac.
How dangerous is a team, Kevin, that has two quote-unquote point guards in Evans and Bearden who also have the ability to provide the offense, either driving the lane or shooting like they, obviously Evans is maybe a better shooter than Bearden is, but how dangerous is that?
Well, let's look at how this game turned. All right, so Shannon Evans was early, and you talk about his assist numbers, he's early trying to establish the rest of his teammates and the rest of his offense. It wasn't working, so he decided to take the game over. Delvonte Bearden can do the same thing, and that's where the danger is when your opponent, well, if you stop the other things, something's going to get through if they get on their game. One thing Bill Courtney said, they've played Syracuse. They beat George Mason to have the Big Red, but they haven't faced a team that he felt we have 6 players who can score the way UB scores.
Well, he's proven to be a pretty good scout because it's exactly what's happened here. Pitch and catch here between Cherry and Miller, the 2 top scorers today for Cornell. And here's Jalal Cancer, and he'll draw the foul on Justin Moss. That'll be the 3rd on the big guy, Justin Moss. How about the Bulls, Kevin, are shooting 67%, 8 of 12 here in the second half.
That is an incredible figure to shoot that.
Against a team that is in the top 40 in the country in field goal percentage defense, Cornell comes in only giving up 38%.
Now, if it were last year, we'd say that's par for the course for the Big Red, but they didn't have Miller, they didn't have Cancer, and they've certainly added much defensively. You've seen Miller blocking shots and contesting everything.
Robert Hatter is long on the 3-point attempt, and we get a foul down low.
And if they got that on Moss.
If it's on Moss, it's his 4th. It is. That is 4 on Justin Moss.
And that is something I think is going to be a storyline all season long for UB.
Corner 3, good. That's Robert Hatter, the sophomore from Houston. Cross court, Ford, alley-oop, and Raheem Johnson got fouled on the attempt and rattled the rim in the process. Watch this one.
Well, it's a beautiful setup here as they're breaking the press with it, and Ford has a look of a shot, but I mean, look at Cornell. They will contest nearly everything going to the rim.
Maybe that's why they usually will play 10 or 12 guys. They got a lot of fouls to give.
Well, you're exactly right, though, Paul. If your bench is that deep and you have 2 or 3 big men that you're going to bring into the game, then you want your team to contest every shot. That's how you keep that shooting percentage under 50%, so they hesitate going to the rim.
2 free throws for Raheem Johnson. Bulls have outscored Cornell 27-15 here in the second half. And it's a 14-point Buffalo lead. Hatter with another 3. In and out. Rebound to Johnson. Raheem Johnson will see some minutes here, Kevin, with Justin Moss on the bench with 4 fouls.
You know, when it goes as far as cool looks go, Hatter's got the whole cool look going in college basketball.
Shannon Evans finally missed. Oh, no! I was going to say he finally missed a 3 and it fell in. 21 in the game for Evans, and back the other way, it's Cherry who's got 21.
What a shootout we have here in the All-Night Arena between these 2.
Here comes Evans again. He even gets the bounces and the rolls.
Well, if Evans has a paper looming over break that he didn't finish it tonight, son.
Yeah.
Today's your day. That last shot going was, I'd say lucky, but everything's been going in for him.
Bearden drops it. Johnson reverse and the bucket and the foul. Just one highlight after another in this one.
That shows me how much work Johnson's been doing with the coaches in practice and with his teammates, because early on this season he had problems fumbling the basketball in those passes, but to be able to pull off that move shows how much work this young man's put in.
And he completes the 3-point play. Raheem Johnson, 6'10" junior from Detroit, Michigan. Limited minutes so far this season. He is the team's leader in blocked shots, but look at that offensive play.
I mean, to have the control of that basketball, to go the up and under through traffic, that was a travel.
Oh, it was a blatant travel. It wasn't called. And a steal back by Cornell. Cherry for 3, no good. 2 Bulls battle over the rebound. It winds up with Xavier Ford.
Wise move to slow it down here for UB. Buys yourself time with Moss on the bench, though Johnson's playing fantastic minutes for you.
Ford pulls up, misses the jumper. Rebound to Regan, and another shot clock reset for Buffalo.
Bobby Hurley at the top of the screen is saying, pull it back out.
Regan flat on the three. Here's Darryl Smith quickly for Cornell. Hatter, long on the three, rebound to Evans.
I thought that was forced. A little far out for Hatter, but I would like to see him go down to Miller that time. He had a one-on-one matchup down on the baseline.
Working a little clock now are the Bulls with under 9 minutes to go in the game. Evans, baseline jam. Shannon Evans doing it all.
This is just a fantastic performance by a player who is feeling it and recognizing his spots here. I think this was originally going to be a handoff to Bearden, or he's going to bring it back out, and Cornell jumped on the double team, so he saw the baseline open, and then he saw the explosion of Shannon Evans.
Who thought he could top a triple-double with an even better performance?
You saw number one there for Cornell, Smith, step out when he should have stayed down low.
Unbelievable, 23 points, one shy of the career high for Shannon Evans, and again, he's coming off a triple-double, the first in UB school history, and he's been even better today.
Yeah,
he has single-handedly turned this game around for the Bulls.
Well, and it all goes back to that first half when Moss went out of the game and UB was struggling, and he took the game over. Recognized they needed something.
It's a 19-point Buffalo lead. And we get a foul on the way to the basket, and that's the only time we'll call Shannon Evans' name without it being highlight-worthy. They didn't call Evans. They gave it to Ford.
That's the kind of day Evans is having.
Yeah, he didn't even get the fouls. Hollywood, Shannon Evans has been worthy of an Oscar performance here today. Corner three-pointer by Bathurst is short. Rebound follow-up, and we get a foul called. Bill Courtney's team will get a much-needed timeout. This game has amazingly slipped away for the Cornell Big Red. It's Buffalo with a 19-point lead. Now, Kevin, we know that both Cornell and Buffalo are athletic teams with a lot of really skilled players, but I don't know that we would have a situation today where we'd have more dunks than we could pick from to show you.
Well, both teams consciously attacking the rim And that's when you have the athleticism to bring it there. Now, there's two reasons why you want to do it. One, you can. Two, you draw fouls when you bring it to the rim. But you saw Cornell, a few of those were rebound dunks. For the Bulls, they were penetration, drive to the hoop, either a pass or Evans there recognizing the runway was ready for a landing.
I think I saw the Bulls equipment folks with the vice grip in his hands, because he's going to have to tighten the bolts on the backboards before, at least by the time this one is over with. The springs on those rims are getting a workout, and even the little guys like Shannon Evans have gotten into the act, as you saw. One shy of a new career high is Shannon Evans, and amazingly coming off a triple-double, his next game might get him a career high. Here's Sean Miller driving the lane and drawing the foul.
And I think that's what Bill Courtney wants to see more of from Sean Miller. I certainly want to see more of that from Sean Miller, because he's got great athleticism and elevation off the floor, and to get to the line, get those points.
If this winds up as a loss for Cornell today, I don't know how disappointed Bill Courtney's going to be, because from what we've seen today, there is no doubt this is going to be a team that is going to battle in the Ivy League. They were picked to finish 8th. A lot of that was because they struggled last year without Miller and Cancer. But the way they play, because it's so much different than most of the other Ivy League teams, they're going to have a huge advantage if the other team's defenses will allow them to run and be athletic like they have been here today.
Right, and there's the if.
Almost one we had to add to the dunk reel there. Shannon Evans trying to get it to Raheem Johnson, and the look on Raheem Johnson's face is, oh man, I missed my chance right there.
Yeah, that was just off the fingertips from an explosion, another explosion here at Alumni Arena. When he's in the game, they look for it, for Johnson. They look for that alley-oop pass for him to bring the finish.
Go ahead and add to your point about Cornell's athleticism,
well, their athleticism. The key for Bill Courtney and the Big Red are going to be to play their game. Not to get sucked into playing the slow pace that, the Harvards, the Princetons, the Yales, Dartmouth, that they're going to play, the half-court game. The key is to be, this is who we are, this is how we're going to play, and we're going to do it all of the time. That was one of his goals coming in today's game, and I think for the most part he's done it. The key is going to be making shots, which they were doing in the first half, but they're not doing here in the second half.
Right. We've got a break because the officials have gone to the video replay. They're looking at that attempted alley-oop play there for Johnson.
But the ball never hit the rim either, so I think they might be checking the shot clock. Since it never hit the rim and possession never fully changed, I think they want to make sure they get it right.
And to your point, Kevin, just 8 of 21 shooting in the second half here for the Cornell Big Red of Bill Courtney.
Yeah, they are 20% from the three-point line, 38% overall, where in the first half they were 50%. And even better.
Yep, 50% shooting in the first half. So Buffalo with the inbounds, and it'll go to Shannon Evans. Next basket for him gives him a new career high. Guarded by Devin Cherry. Way outside is Raheem Johnson. And here's Bearden. And before it gets into the hands of Raheem Johnson, we get a foul called on Sean Miller.
Number 32, Sean Miller, is second.
Well, that's a tough matchup for Miller, but he may see some of that when it comes to Ivy League play, where he's going to have to guard the big man one-on-one. He's got the athleticism to do it, the elevation to do it. And coming in, he's averaging just under 2 blocks a game.
Raheem Johnson's first free throw falls off the front rim. Here's Darrell Smith, kicks it back out for Bathurst, who drives the lane and gets blocked. Xavier Ford with the block. But the possession will remain. No, it'll go to Buffalo.
Well, that's one of those where a freshman has to learn that, hey, if it looks too easy, it probably is. The big man lurking forward with the rejection.
I'm sure Will has some family here up from Olean, New York, about an hour and a half away. I'm sure he would have loved to have slammed that one for the folks, but again, he'll learn. He'll get better. Outstanding player for the Olean Huskies. I mentioned 2-time Western New York Player of the Year, 2-time All-State, averaged just under 20 points a game and had almost 1,200 career points at an outstanding program down in Olean.
And he's a player that folks at Cornell feel is going to have he's got a great future ahead of him. He's got to learn to play the college game and learn to play against the players who are at that same level he's at.
He'll fill out a little bit from his rather lanky 6'3", 180. Cornell retains the possession here with a little over 7 minutes to go and a foul on the way to the basket. Justin Moss back in with the 4 fouls. I don't think he'll get this one. They won't. It'll be Shannon Evans. Oh, no, it will be. And that's 5th.
And he is disqualified.
That's the 2nd time that he has been disqualified from a game this season. Both have been here at Alumni Arena. He's
an aggressive player, and you don't want him to not play aggressive, but you got to play smart, and a couple of those fouls in this last sequence have not been the smartest. So Justin Moss, normally him fouling out with 7 minutes would cause a lot of angst for Bobby Hurley, but this game may very well be in control so that Moss heading to the bench might not hurt the Bulls. Just 11 points for Justin Moss.
Well, not sure where it was on that one. It didn't look like he had reached or anything.
No, I thought that was going to be on Shannon Evans outside. So Justin Moss, who comes in as the max leader in both points and rebounds, his numbers will drop a bit in this game as he'll finish with 11 points and just 4 rebounds. Well under his average of 9.9 per game.
Well, the one thing that you can learn from this game, you mentioned some of them not the best fouls. He had that one reach-in foul on the other side of the lane earlier when I think Cancer was driving. That's not a foul that Justin Moss should even be in the neighborhood of committing a slap little reach-in foul.
Lamonte Bearden riding his way down court and throws it away.
I thought he traveled anyways on it, so that was going the other way. Either way you looked at it.
A little out of control that time for Lamonte Bearden, which he is still prone to do as a freshman. Here's Jalal Cancer. Nice drop down low for Cherry. Kick out for Bathurst. Got it! Will Bathurst with the 3.
There's still plenty of time here, and it's 13 points.
And Bathurst with the steal from behind, but it will stay with the Bulls.
Well, Bathurst, I'm sure Cherry told him, you better make that if I gave up a chance underneath the basket for a 3-point opportunity. I look for Evans to penetrate here.
It's in the hands of Bearden, Xavier Ford. Here's Evans. Are they setting him up right now for the drive? No, he'll dump it off to Ford. Ford will pull up, 12-footer. No good. Rebound down low for Darryl Smith. Here's Bathurst going to go all the way and put it in. And they're going to call goal interference on it, so the basket will count. Nice first step and a nice speed and acceleration for Will Bathurst. Watch this one.
Yeah, he took this one to the rim and protected the basketball there. Still got a block on it, but able to get the bucket.
And nearly a turnover by the Bulls as Bearden was able to get it to Will Regan.
Well, it's what you mentioned the last time he done when he lost the basketball. It's a control issue. And this is where, you know, a coach like Bobby Hurley, who's been in these spots, can teach his freshmen when it's time to slow the guard. And there's a penetration by Evans, recognizing, okay, Moss is out there, they brought Regan back in, but he's got to be the offense now.
Bathurst draws the foul. This was a 19-point lead that has dropped down to 11 now, with Evans with a chance to add to it and put himself with a new career high. That's 24. That ties the career high for Shannon Evans, set earlier this season on the road at Texas Arlington. And the 82% free throw shooter hits this one, he'll have a new career high. There it is, 25 points for Shannon Evans. None of them in the first 14 minutes of the game. Here's Devin Cherry for Bathurst, and boy, he's not shy. Draws the foul.
And that'll be the 4th, I believe, on Ford.
It is.
So all of a sudden now, like, this game's getting interesting. Not that it wasn't before, but
it's been interesting all day.
No, I know, but now
I know
it's getting interesting here with 5:46 to go, with the foul issues and the personnel that Bobby Hurley is going to have on the floor as far as down low as Ford goes out. Brings Johnson in. So these are going to be important minutes for Johnson, too, as they head to conference play. But this is going to be good experience for his team to handle foul trouble, which they may see in MAC play with, a rotation of a comfortable rotation of 8 players that Bobby Hurley has, but really 7 today without Jaron Skeet.
Yeah, I mean, only 8 deep. One of them's out. One of them's fouled out. And the other one has 4 fouls. So, if this thing continues, Bobby's going to have to do some creative substituting. Evans pulls up 3, got it!
I can't believe he took that shot.
That was about a good 20, 22 feet away. Scraped the ceiling here at Alumni Arena, but it falls in. 28 points for Shannon Evans. Darryl Smith no good, and it's a rebound for Shannon Evans.
This is going to be one of those games that UB fans are going to say, hey, were you there or were you watching when Shannon Evans played Cornell? That's how good he's playing.
Steal. Here's Bathurst against Regan, a couple of Western New Yorkers, and Regan bodies him enough to create the missed shot. Back come the Bulls. Wigginton, 3, no good. Knocked away by Wigginton, and it will stay with Cornell.
There's a close one.
It was close.
Wigginton, he had to finish like he thought it was good here, and let's see real quick. Yeah, it was off his foot.
Yep. Cherry, Miller, 3, no good. Tipped out. We'll stay with the Big Red.
That's one area. Miller's had plenty of opportunities from the three-point arc today, but he's to improve on that. He's made 14 of 43 coming into today, only 34%. Something he'll need to improve upon. But that's okay.
Yeah, he's okay with that. That part of his game is more than fine. 20 points for Sean Miller. Regan, nice bounce pass. Evans got too far under the basket, and it will stay with the Bulls.
Nice execution on the high post played there by Regan, but Evans just got caught in a tough spot to make a basket.
Regan got it up and in. 9 in the game for Will Regan. And the foul is going to be called on Shannon Evans against Devin Cherry. Just under 4 minutes to go. The Bulls up 83-67 on a fun day here at Alumni Arena. Plenty to dance about here at the State University of New York at Buffalo's Alumni Arena. Their Buffalo Bulls are up 83-67, under 4 minutes to go, and mostly because of this guy.
Yeah. Shannon Evans. Now, I mentioned I can't believe he took the shot because of the man who was guarding him. They put Miller on him, who blocked a three-point attempt earlier on Will Regan, who's 6'8". And Evans just boldly stepped up and shot it right over Miller to drain that three. And, well, why wouldn't he? I mean, he is just 7 of 10. 7 of 10 from the three-point arc. I'm no math wizard, but that's 70%.
It's good. 28 points are the most scored by a Buffalo Bull this season. And one more basket for Shannon Evans, and he'll get into that 30-point category, which doesn't happen around here all that often. But look at the field goal shooting. Like you said, 8 of 13, 7 of 10 from three-point. And let's not neglect to mention that he's chipped in with 3 rebounds and 4 assists, because that's a big part of his game as well. Devin Cherry, who's had himself an outstanding game as well, rolls in the free throw for his 22nd point.
And he had an excellent first half, but he just wasn't able to, and I say just wasn't able to. I mean, he's having an outstanding game overall, but wasn't able to sustain the run he was on to start the game for Cornell when he made 4 3-pointers.
And there's the foul called on Devin Cherry. Going to be 2 free throws for the Bulls. That's the 10th foul called on the Big Red. So here's Shannon Evans' chance to hit 30 points.
Well, the interesting thing, Paul, is coming into this game, the Bulls' best three-point shooter is Jaren Skeet. And they missed him. He's missed the last 3 games, including today. And they missed him against Wisconsin as Evans hits the 30-point mark by making them both. And who knows what kind of difference Skeet could have made in that game against the Badgers.
First Bull to hit 30 points since Javon McCray, the school's all-time leading scorer, did it last year in March against Bowling Green. That was a 34-point game, and I don't know that Evans is done yet.
Well, he's going to handle the ball a lot here in the final few minutes.
He'll get some free throw chances to add to those points, won't he? Or a nice dish to Rodell Wigginton for his 5th assist of the game.
You know, he has 30. Nice shot there by Cancer.
Draining the 3.
But there's a chance they could get the century mark here, Paul, with 87.
3 minutes to go and a lot of free throw opportunities likely to come unless Bill Courtney just kind of calls off the dogs here, but it's only a 15-point game. Wow. Keep that highlight dunk reel working there. Xavier Ford saying include me as well, too. Back-to-back dunks for the Bulls. Big crowd of bodies with Ford and Miller at the bottom of the pile.
And they called Miller on the offensive foul. Trying to force the play, but again, I think that's the play Miller needs to add to his game, bring more of when he gets an Ivy League play.
Yep, you know, just looking at the points allowed on average for both of these teams, and I'm sure when the coaches break this down, they'll kind of wonder what happened to their defense. Cornell only gives up 63 points per game on average. UB at 64. Obviously, both teams have blown by those numbers. Cross court for Ford from Evans, and now set it back up again with a little under 2.5 to go. Wigginton drives and draws the foul.
That's not a foul on the floor, but they're the double bonus, so we'll go to the line anyways.
Foul was called on Miller, or I'm sorry, Desmond Fleming into the ballgame, number 11 for Cornell.
But this is a concern of Bill Courtney, the head coach at Cornell, in his 5th season. You know, his concern was that UB has 6 players. He hasn't really seen an offense that had this many options so far, and that includes playing against Syracuse. So he knew it was going to be a challenge defensively.
Rodell Wigginton had a chance to tie his career high, missed both 3 free throws, but Bulls get the ball back again. Bearden and Regan playing catch. Ford palms the basketball with one hand and dishes it back to Bearden as the Bulls work the clock. Shot clock down to 15. Evans, Ford, Bearden. Off the screen from Regan. Ford had it knocked away. Gets it out to Evans. 3 on the way. Got it!
Did you even doubt it?
Why not? 33 points for Shannon Evans.
And now you're 8 away.
Is there some kind of it doesn't happen around here very often, some kind of one of those giveaways for 100 points? Somebody call the gang over at Santora's and see if we can't get some wings.
I was going to say the wings had, well,
that's common in the NBA. It's not so common here.
Well, Bobby Hurley's going to get some other players in the game, though, which I think helps that effort because you want those players to try and score. They practice and they work hard. And, I think Bill Courtney would recognize that, too. And what a game for Shannon Evans. He deserves a standing ovation. And sitting down.
And listen to the crowd here. A dominating performance. You saw the stats. 33 points for Shannon Evans. Again, he did not score in the first 14 minutes of the game. So all of that has come in the final 6 minutes of the first half and what we've got left here in the second half. When the Bulls needed his offense, Shannon Evans stepped up, and his three-point shooting was something that I don't think we've seen, and we've seen a lot of his games. We haven't seen him hit like that from three.
That's an incredible performance by Shannon Evans, so much so. I know he just had the school's first triple-double. This was a better game, if I may say so, with that. And it's one of those games where someone better save the ball immediately as the game is over and give it to the kid. That's special of a day.
Rodell Wigginton misses on the three. Bulls have brought Christian Pino and Bobby Frasco in off the bench. Cornell's got some new faces in as well. That's Pat Smith missing the three. And here's Christian Pino bringing it up, redshirt freshman guard from Detroit. This is the 5th game of the year that Pino has played in. Scored his first point in the last game, a win over Binghamton on a free throw. Here's Frasco, long on the three.
Well, as I mentioned, they're working the clock down, which is the right thing to do with this big of a lead, but these kids also deserve a chance to play their game, take the shots they play.
That's Robert Mishler, number 22, running the point. A lot of new names out here for Cornell to finish this one off. Here's Mishler, has it knocked away. Stays with the Big Red. Braxton Bunce, number 15 in the game. Pat Smith, we mentioned. Desmond Fleming. There's Fleming, Mishler, three, no good. Should be the final seconds of this one as Rodell Wigginton will slow dribble the time off the clock. What a fun game this was. Boy, fans got their money's worth. A little standing O for their Buffalo Bulls. And the Bulls finish off non-conference play in just about the best way that they could ask for. A big, huge victory over Cornell. Their 9 non-conference wins, the most for the Bulls program since the 2010-2011 season. And the Bulls come up with a huge 19-point win.
Well, a tremendous second half by that man, Shannon Evans, but overall by the Bulls after a contested first half, and Cornell gave them everything they could handle. The Bulls found a way to pull away in the second half, and it's a great way to lead into conference play next week with 2 on the road.
So the Bulls will head into that conference play with a 9-3 record. Cornell drops to 6-8. We've got post-game coming up for you in a moment from Alumni Arena in Buffalo following a big Bulls win.